And here we are back. It's like, man, did we ever leave? We did, and you see the seats change. So now Vance, who's literally sitting across from me down in his home state of Texas, right? And we got Al coming in because he's gonna ask some offensive questions. The guy from the perspective of an offensive coordinator, and then you, the people, are here because this is the matchup that everyone is talking about. The Michigan defense and how well they just played. It was an outstanding effort Jesse Minter turned in. Coach circles around Nick Saban, and Tommy Rees. Well, it's going to be a tougher proposition doing that to Kalen DeBoer and that offense. And joining us to break it down is the man who he was one of the guys here, the media guys here, said, "Where's your coach?" Vance was like, "Where did I coach?"
That's about right.
Either coach there or coach against him, right, Vance?
Right, like being in the military, you moving every day.
Yeah, man. And I've been coaching. And I said, hey, here's what you need to know about this man. This is the guy. We talk about the greatness of Charles Lewis, he's a terrific athlete. But the best athletes got to be coached by somebody, someone. And this is that man who was on the staff of Michigan's last national championship team. And he's wearing that hat right now.
Let me get close. See that? I'm going to get another one of those to pair with this. Right there, 1997. But let me take it off. We get live at 5, baby. Here we go.
Man. Yeah, so we're going to get into it. Let's dive right in and talk about this Washington offense. Vance, high-powered, Michael Penix. I thought he was an impressive player at Indiana. And now he's going to Washington where they have more talent, and he's back with the coach who was there when he was performing at his height in Indiana, and now he's with him later in his career, and he's really been blossoming. What do you see when you watch this Washington offense?
This guy's special. He's an arm talent. He has a bazooka on his arm. He can make the deep throws, but he has such great touch. He can throw the check downs. He's aware of all his receivers all the time. If he has pressure on him, he'll throw a check down real fast. He doesn't panic. I mean, I love watching this guy play. He is tough to get after because he doesn't appear to rattle. He's always calm. He knows what to do with the football, and he is a good athlete. People forgot when he was in Indiana, he's running spread offense. He can run the rock. And you saw against Texas, they ran the bluff play. He pulled the ball down for about 15 yards. In the Pac-12 championship, did the same thing. He's a better athlete than what people know about. So for us in this ball game, we need to pressure him, number one, and make sure that we collapse the pocket, don't give him a chance to escape. If we do that, we should be okay in this ball game.
You have seen them light it up on teams. One of the things that they do a lot of is they get rid of the football. I asked you this in passing in the defensive breakdown. They get rid of the ball quick, Vance. And so when you face a team like that can get rid of the ball so quickly, how do you as a defensive coordinator slow that down, stop them from getting rid of the football so quickly so maybe your pressure can impact the game more?
Tight coverage, so you got to be rolling to cover 2 or cover 3. Same thing we saw versus Ohio State. I mean, we had a variety of coverages. We rolled to them 18 to Marvin. We got to do the same thing to these guys, to take away those throws. But I got to give credit to the offensive line. They have 3 offensive linemen that are 6'6" better. And, last 2 weeks ago, I talked about Alabama. They big. I mean, they were big and they were thick. These guys are tall and slender and athletic. They are built for the passing game. Also, they do a great job in the run game. I listen to Al talk. I'm like, Al must be watching Washington's offense because he's talking about them. They run a lot of counter, a lot of pin pull play. They do a lot of sweeps, fly sweep with the receiver, number 4. If number 4 is moving, get ready. He's a fly sweep guy. He's a gadget play, okay? And the next thing is a lot of fades. Oh, my goodness. Al, you should see this guy. If you see the number 1 receiver, number 1, inside on the slot, and they motion the guy outside of him, get ready for the fade. And if I was defending this right now, if I was a secondary coach right now, we play an outside technique. If you line it up a yard from the sideline, I'm outside. I'm going to make you go to my safeties. Everybody seems to give it up. He throws that ball where only his guy can catch it. Therefore, I'm going to make him do something different. If he's going to beat me, he's not beating me throwing that ball.
So you know what I'm thinking about as you talking? Remember Keon Coleman, Michigan State last year? You said the same thing. Say, man, this dude's not going to fade me all game. Now, he faded him in the first half. He didn't in the second half. What did they do, Van?
They've changed. They got that corrected. The things you and I talked about, they made those adjustments at halftime. But I'm going to this ball game right now fundamentally for a secondary coach. I'm taking that away. And I always go back to things I've done in the past. When I was at Florida, we played Oklahoma in a bowl game. I said, they don't run a certain route. So our technique in this ball game is to take certain things away. So against these guys here, don't give away the fade. I'm watching. People know I'm a Texas ex. So I'm watching a Texas game. They throwing fade routes. Man, I almost broke my TV. You know they throw the fade. How in the world you let a guy outside technique? You can't do that. Take away what they do and make them do something else. And if you don't do that, we can have a long day at the office. This quarterback, I think he's exceptional. If he hadn't had 2 knee injuries, he might be the first quarterback taken. But because of his 2 knee injuries, he's going to fall in the draft. He's a first-round pick, Blade on the first round.
Were there any teams, because I sent you some games where there were some teams that kind of
Utah
held them in check a little bit. What did they do to slow this offense down?
The teams I looked at, Utah's defense is probably closer to our defense than anybody else. That guy does a tremendous job. He gives them different fronts, different blitzes. See, now he got after them. They blitzed these guys. They got to them. Also, they walked up and pressed the receivers. So they took away quick throws, forced them to throw checkdowns. If he gets pressure early, they go to screens. There's a lot of middle screens to the tight end, to the wide receivers. They find ways to protect this guy. But Utah, they gave him different fronts, different blitzes. They gave him 0 blitzes, and they flat got after him when no one else really did that. And people talked about the Oregon State game when the first half, it was a rainstorm. They were dropping balls. The receivers couldn't come out of their breaks. So the rain kind of affected that ball game. Oregon did a great job also because they play a lot of man-to-man. They got after them. But the biggest thing is this, and people say, well, they don't run the ball a lot. Yes, they do. When you get in the red zone now, you better buck your stuff up because they're going to find a way to get angles on everybody. They get in quads in some form of fashion by shifting motions. They like to run the toss, or they get in quads and they motion them a 4, and somehow he's doing a fly sweep. So they find different ways in the red zone to get angles. And now, if you start defending the toss, you know what they run? A duo. So they do certain things in the red zone. They want to run the football when they can. If they get up on you in the fourth quarter, buckle up. He don't throw the football anymore. He's going to run the ball.
So a couple of games where they had their lowest scoring games of the season were Arizona State. I don't think I sent you that, but I did send you Washington State. Did you get a chance to look
I didn't see that one.
See that one? Yeah, those are a couple of teams that kind of held them down. But Utah is the one that you focus on. Because here's what stands out to me about Jesse Minter. Vance, he knows how to attack protections.
Mm-hmm.
That this comes screaming. I thought it before, but really last week, it really came to fruition. And I feel like that could be a factor in this game.
You know, something new that I saw is that, I talked a little bit about Michigan State on our cut-ups. Jesse last week about 3 times, he rushed 6, 2 underneath and 3 deep, and had great success with it because now man protect, everybody's got to be a man protection. And the one thing that Washington does, they do a great job as far as picking up twists, stunts, and extra blitzes. The thing about it, I think Mike Elson does a tremendous job in teaching guys the fundamentals to sacrifice themselves to do the job correctly. A lot of times guys like, I want to go make a play. Our defensive line, our linebackers, they do one thing. I have one assignment to do. If I'm supposed to hit this B gap and get vertical, I don't care what I see, I'm in that B gap and going vertical. And that's the difference between what we do defensively in our kids compared to other people across the country is our execution. And I think, again, Jason does a good job as far as his game planning things he does to take certain things away. And I'm pretty certain he's going to take away the inside fade by the slot receiver. You have to. And again, if they're going to beat me, they're going to beat me going inside to my safeties. And certain formations and splits will tell you what they're going to do. For example, if they cut a split by a backside receiver to the boundary, anticipate right now, he's coming all the way across the field on a deep over route. To the front side, it's a double post. They find what to take away. When they do the same slot, away from that, the outside guy, if you cover 3, they're doing a deep out cut so the corner can't shrink the field to help out the post safety. So now they get a chance to work different guys. So they do certain things to attack defenses to make sure they can isolate guys one-on-one. So I'm pretty certain Jesse's got that figured out, and we can be ready to rock and roll.
So we know from his time in Indiana that Penix can run the football a little bit. Did you see him running much on the tape that you saw for Washington?
Not in the first few ball games, but against Oregon in the Pac-12 championship, And against Texas, it showed up. Also, he shows the ability to scramble, which in the earlier on in the season, he made no attempts to run. Everything was he's going to go down early, he's going to throw a check down. But now, when you get into the final couple of ball games, he's doing whatever's necessary to win those ball games. He'll pull the ball down and run. So we need to understand that.
So compare the receiver Odunze to Marvin Harrison. Is one better than the other? What do you think?
You know you got to stop Marvin. So it makes him dangerous. This guy, defending him is more dangerous because they just don't go to him. When you play Ohio State, that's to take them on where we got a chance to win the ball game. If that's your thought process in this ball game, the other guys will beat you real fast. Ryan Day was focused on a guy. This staff here, they spread the ball, they spread the wealth around, which makes them a lot more dangerous and tougher to defend because of that. I mean, so we're going to have our hands full, but still, I'm going to with the idea, a similar game plan that I had versus Ohio State with some different wrinkles in there to take other guys away.
So as you, and we talked about this with Will and Marvin, this is coming up in the stream a couple of times. So I'll just ask this question now before we go to the people. Said, would you have Will follow Odunze around? But you just said they got a bunch of guys that can beat you. So
the one thing where you match guys up, then that defensive back can study everything that guy does. Now, again, a lot of times they will put him in the slot. For example, you'll cut a split by him. And the wide receiver, he'll go in motion outside of him. Now, if you're in zone, that means now Will has to do what? Bump on the tight end. And they just put him on a linebacker or a safety. I mean, so they have different ways to get this guy open. But when you go back to Ohio State, they just lined up and say, here we are, cover me. It's like they had no game plan or thought process. I know Ryan Day is a guru and a genius and all that stuff, but if that's the case, then this guy here, I mean, he really special.
right.
Because they find ways to get guys open. Hey, Al, I throw saying to everybody, I'm good. They can't fire me anymore. I'm good.
Say whatever you want, Vance. I don't care.
So listen, you are a super aggressive guy by nature. Yeah, as aggressive as Jesse was last week, I said Vance would be more aggressive than that, right?
Oh.
Would you be that aggressive against this team?
Yes. Why not? Why wouldn't you? Be who you are. I always thought like an offensive coach. When I used to go to a convention, I will go listen to Al before I go listen to his defensive coordinator. I want to see how he thinks. So when I call defenses, I want to call like an offensive coach calls offensive plays. I want to be the aggressor. I want to attack. So if that's my philosophy, it never stops. And I always give stories. We play in West Virginia, and they up tempo. I blitzed him the first play, the second play, the third play, the fourth play. He slowed the game down because he started checking because he didn't want to get sacked. So you can be aggressive, and all of a sudden they will adjust their offense because they don't want to get behind the sticks. An offensive coach don't want to be in second down and 8, 9, and 10. They don't like that because now it changes how they call plays. So I got a feeling we're going to be aggressive, go after this guy because he hadn't been hit a lot, and try to make him have to move the pocket on us.
Man, it's going to be interesting. Coach Borges, as you hear Al break them down, as you hear Vance break them down, are there questions that jump out at you about how you try to defend this offense?
Well, he's already talked about it a little bit, but I've been listening to some of the assessments of their depth by their own people, offensively and defensively, and they beat their chest a lot about these wide receivers. I just wondered, as a total group, I know Will Johnson can cover. I mean, we all know. How do we match up with their wideouts? And when it isn't just Will Johnson against their best?
We were playing better, Al. The biggest thing is a lot of times Mikey's going to be on their best receiver because he's going to be in the slot. So we're going to be fine. And the biggest thing is it's based on if we study enough video, and I know they study more video than I do. They have all the stuff. But again, what do you have to take away? You need to not allow them to beat you on the deep fade. Every ball game, they catch about 2 or 3 of those. Against Texas, Texas playing good football, all of a sudden, they go to fade for about 35 yards. It's like the guy had no idea they're going to throw the route. That is by far the top right. Now, they run some West Coast concepts as far as stick routes. Everybody's going 5 yards. They run some all curls. But at the end of the day, it's 4 vertical, deep over routes and fade routes. I mean, stay real simple and a lot of screens. The run game is counter, pin pull play, And by formation, you know the sweep is coming. I mean, and the biggest thing, people have not fit the run properly, and they've hurt people with it. And the running back, if he's healthy, he got injured at the end of the game versus Texas. He's a pretty good back. He can find a hole. He can make a cut. He's not easy to tackle. So they run the ball better than what people give him credit for.
Mhm.
All right. Let's go to the questions from the people now. As we start getting in, Steve said Vance was right about the Bama game. We used the Tim Tebow defense that Vance put on them Gators. Did you see that, Vance? Was the Tim Tebow defense?
We took away him from scrambling. We made him have to do things he didn't like to do, and that was key. So make them, if they're going to beat you with the other hand. And that was key to what we did. And physically up front, I mean, our defensive line destroyed that offensive line. And Jesse did a great job in calling the game. He brought pressures early. Because going back and watching their games, Alabama, the 5 games I looked at, the first play was a pass. You know what we did the first play? We blitzed them. So again, did a great job taking away what they did best, and therefore we won the ball game.
I'll say it again. 5 of the 6 sacks, there was a blitz on.
Mhm.
5 of the 6 sacks. I mean,
Mhm.
what do you say? Blitz them every way but loose?
Which way? Hey, I'm throwing the kitchen sink and everything else. The plunger with it also.
See, but this dude is a super accurate passer. Super accurate. It was my man last week.
No, he wasn't. And the offensive line here is a lot better. They have recruited an offensive line for pass protection. Again, they have one guy that's 6'8", 2 guys 6'6". The smallest guy is the center. He's also the weak link. So if there's some way you can attack him for pressure, you can push the pocket or run a stunt on him, we have a chance to come free. He's been a weak link in their protection. The tackles are real big guys. Like one guy 6'8", one guy 6'6", has decent feet. So they've done a good job protecting the ball. And when this quarterback scrambles, he knows where the check down is. That's why he hadn't been sacked a lot. He gets rid of the ball really fast.
Yep. Let's get to more questions from the people. All right. From Antoine Johnson. What's up, Antoine? He says, Vance, do you see the difference in linebacker play with Jesse's father coaching them? They seem to be hitting harder and playing faster. Even Junior was playing better. What do you think?
I really don't see that now. Rick has been around for a long time. He's been a head coach, a defensive coordinator, and he's aggressive. And therefore, the linebackers a lot of times going to take on the personality of their coach. So they playing down here. They do a good job. But again, Jesse, he calls a pressure game a lot of times. So it enables the linebackers to play downhill. And you're going to see the same thing in this ball game. Now, my biggest concern in this ball game is when we do zone blitz, because this team sends 5 guys out a lot, especially into the boundary. Our boundary defensive end drops a lot. When he drops, he needs to match coverage to take things away, because that running back, he's done quite a few out and ups. So you need to understand, when you drop, if you don't match up, this quarterback will find that guy and beat us. So we need to make sure we get those things cleared up. The same thing for the linebackers. We need to do a better job of matching a body on a body. Against Alabama, to make a difference. This guy, he's accurate with the football, and they have a great offensive system.
Did you see any examples where teams were getting him with disguise? And I asked that question because I just remember Ohio State. Look, obviously this quarterback is way, way better. Way, way better. But I just remember Marvin Harrison coming out of the game talking about, man, they were throwing some coverages out there I had never seen before. We weren't prepared for.
That's a coach's fault. That's called bad coaching. Let's call a spade a spade. I mean, come on, Sam. They rolled to Marvin. They played double. Man, give me a break. Come on. We said before, they run quarter, half. They could roll to the field, roll to the boundary. They play quarter, half. We're going to roll to Marvin. What's hard about that? He's seen things he never seen. That's the coach's fault. That's called bad coaching. See, they can't fire him. I'm going to call a spade a spade. I'm just going to be honest. I mean, what? Give me a break. You haven't been double before. Were they playing inside, outside, or short and deep? Give me a break. If you're a great receiver and you only got one guy, take him away. I mean, so to me, Utah, again, I'm going back to Utah. Utah, in my opinion, did a great job with the pressures, the coverage, and I've watched him for years. And Urban was with him at one time. He was there at Utah before Urban got there. And his defenses throughout the years have done a tremendous job from pressure, from the skies. He's been ahead of the game, and they gave that offensive line probably more trouble than anyone else I've seen.
So let's talk about Odunze as an individual talent? Because you touched on it. You said he's harder to cover because of the guys around him.
Yes.
But let's talk about him individually, because when I asked you that question, the chat blew up. All these people think that he's better than Marvin Harris. At least they seem to. Steve Horn, who asked great questions, said Odunze is harder to stop. He runs more routes. Jay Marion said Odunze is Marvin Harrison with more heart. Steve follows up, says Odunze is a fluid athlete, natural receiver, looks easy. Lava Bryan says Odunze can run the end around, and he took over the game against Oregon. Adam Shepperson said Odunze is better with intangibles. All the people in this stream think he's better than Marvin Harris.
It depends on what you ask of a player. I mean, Ohio State, they don't ask him to do a lot of things. They're going to put him in a spot and say, we're going to run this route. We're going to get you open. We're going to throw the football. The team we finna play, they spread the wealth around. They ask him to do a few more things. Okay, he's going to run more fades. Okay, he'll run a deep over route based off of his split. But otherwise than that, they don't do a lot more different things. The play calling is different. That's all it is.
Okay.
And so they enable him. It looks like he's doing more, but the play calling is different because they spread the wealth around. They throw it to everybody and just don't focus on one guy. When you play Ohio State, all we ever talked about is what? We got to stop Marvin.
Yeah.
That's all we talked about.
Yeah.
What do you do to stop Marvin? But right now, you got to talk about all those receivers. If you don't, the other guys can beat you just as quickly as he can.
So you don't necessarily think he's more talented than Marvin?
No, I really don't. I think that he might be a step behind. People say, well, he might be the second receiver taken. It's going to depend on when you put him in the 40, how fast is his 20, how fast is his 40. And we've had this conversation. I always had a question, how fast is Marvin? I thought he might be 4.52, 4.55. I think this kid is faster, just watching him play. And that could be the difference in how they draft people based on speed. Because in the NFL, if you're a receiver, you're running 4.6, DB's not afraid of you. If you're a receiver running 4.3, like, I got to give him a step.
Yeah, so, all right, Coach Will. I've coached the DBs, but you were coaching. I remember heading to the game, you were coaching Will Johnson. We were sitting on this thing, but you were coaching Will Johnson. So, Coach Will Johnson, just in that matchup, I know he has other matchups.
Give my hands on him. Give my hands on him. I'm playing outside technique. I'm getting my hands on him. He's trying to come. It's like right now. I always say this story. It's like somebody from breaking my mama's house. I'm outside technique. You shouldn't break my mama's house. Well, I'm finna break you off. Are you crazy? That's the mindset you got to have. You go ask all the guys I coach. They know I'll go off about that. This is my strong point. You're not getting here. And everyone appears to let this guy go outside. I'm watching Texas kid. He outside technique. And the guy went outside, never touched him, and caught a ball for 35 yards in a crucial part of the ball game. It's like he had no idea. I could guarantee you right now that the defensive staff in Michigan said, we need to take these plays away.
How is he getting off press? Did you see a lot of examples?
He just took a wide release. He took one head fake and took a wide release. He went vertical right now. And one time he just took off running, and the DB just spread his feet. It was over with. No technique whatsoever. We don't play that way. We have different techniques. I watch our guys play. We kind of slide back a little bit with body position. If you do that, you can keep leverage and get them inside. That would totally disrupt what they're used to doing. Because I always say this, quarterbacks and receivers do routes on air. That's what they do. So they throw that deep ball. Routes, and that's where you got to be. You're going to beat them outside. All of a sudden, now I got them going inside. You're trying to get back outside. It disrupts the timing of that pass play, which they work on in practice every day. So if he wants to go outside, I might get a holding call, but he go outside now. He's going to be on the sideline talking to his coach. Otherwise, he's going to have a earful. Go ahead, Al.
And it dissuades him from making the throw.
Yes.
If he gets a clean outside release, that ball's going up.
It's automatic.
It may not be over. It may be back shoulder, but it's going up. But if he gets chipped and kicked back in, a lot of times the quarterback will get off the throw because he knows he's taking his help off somebody inside, and the internal fade stock goes way down.
And it's a bunch. I would imagine they throw 7 to 9 fades a game, and I bet you they hit almost 40%. Which, if you're doing that, you win the ball game.
That's all you need.
Yeah, that's all you need. And then formation against Texas in a crucial situation, they go trips into the boundary. Texas goes to cover 2. You playing a passing team, and a Mike linebacker don't carry the middle of the field. Man, Boy, my blood pressure. I took my blood pressure medication today. I know I had to talk about that mess. How you don't know you playing a passive team and they running a Dino route and you sitting 5 yards from line of well, to slap your teeth out of your face. What we doing? So I understand our linebackers to do a better job in zone coverage, understanding what you need to take away. Make them throw the check down. That's rally to the check down for minimal gains. And I always say, you punish the check down in the fourth quarter, the check down, they start dropping the football. You punish guys. That's always been a philosophy. You punish guys first, second, third quarters. In the fourth quarter, they have a tendency to start dropping the football.
Okay.
You notice, Sam, that Vance is a purist. He doesn't like bad ball, and he doesn't care who is playing the bad ball. It's like I'm sitting with Bobby Morrison watching the game, and he's just screaming. I got to hose him off about every 10 minutes because he just doesn't like bad ball. And that's a coach that will always be a coach. And I don't care when he retires or how long he's retired.
I like the lack of filter. He like, hey, man, you can't fire me. I'm going to say what I want to say. Right?
Yeah, you're a little more free to say what you want. You have no question about that.
I appreciate that. So, Peabot Blue, I'm going to jump ahead. I'm going to go back to some other questions, but this one just came up. He said, Vance, how would you compare the athleticism, speed, and pass rush of our front seven to Texas? I feel like we have the SEC speed, and Texas was more just big.
Texas was just big. Texas has not really pass rushed the entire year. They pushed the pocket. We were more athletic. I was back here in October with my father, and we were watching some video. And the things he said about Michigan's defensive linemen, say, Vance, look at their feet. They have great feet. They are never on the ground. They're always moving and always gaining ground towards the quarterback. When you watch Texas, it's like I'm pushing the wall. They just, Well, you watch Michigan, bam, bam. It's a different mindset. Athletically, they're quicker. They're never on the ground. They run more twists and stunts, and that's how we get pressure on them. Texas don't have guys that way. They're just big. I mean, you got one guy 365. He's not rushing the pass. So he can push the pocket. The other guy's 325. He's not rushing the pass. So he can push the pocket. And your defensive end is just so. So it's not even close.
All right, so I got again, I said I was going to go back, but some questions came up and it just got my attention. I want your opinion. And so Jason Knudsen, I think is how you say his name, he said, Van, should Mikey press Odunze in the slot? And right after that question came this one from Landonic 4. Said, please don't put Mike on their receivers. He's been beat bad this year in coverage. I don't know.
When?
That's what I said. When?
I can't recall that. He had one play that I think he took a false step and got beat on a route on a slant route, went for a touchdown. That was earlier in the year. Okay. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, he's done a good job. It's like when Will went out in the Ohio State game, he did a tremendous job. I mean, so again, it's different things you can do against these receivers. I had a coach I work with. He's with the Cowboys right now. He uses catch technique. So you're playing off technique. You take one step back and you catch and you collision the guy about 7-8 yards deep as a changeup. It screws guys up. It screws up the timing for the receiver, the timing for the quarterback. You got to do different things to affect guys. It is tough to walk up and press a guy that's off the line of scrimmage. He has an advantage because now he has room. When a guy's on the line of scrimmage, you can just reach out and touch him. When a guy's off the line of scrimmage, you got to mirror that guy, but at the same time, take certain things away. So whenever he's in the slot, he's tough to press. But I would catch him because I do not want him to have free releases going down the field vertical. If I was running cover 2, I am going to reroute and bang everybody across the board and then get my drops.
All right. Back to the questions for the people. Al, if you have questions, feel free to jump in. All right.
Well, I'm just entertained. I don't need to say anything.
Shadyville said, timing is very important in the UW offense. It allows Penix to get the ball out so fast. I haven't saw us jam wide receivers this year. Is that something we can do? Have you noticed Michigan not be willing to get up? And
we haven't done a lot of that. That's not what we do. We play more off technique. We've played from quarter, half, very little cover 2, just as a change up. It's not something we've done this year, but I think it's something that you might see. Against Ohio State, we did do some of that. We rolled to Marvin to take him away, to take away the speed of what he did to disrupt him, and it caused us problems for the quarterback. But again, as a team, their group of receivers, let's go back to 2 years ago to what Ohio State had, C.J. Stroud. That's what we planned against this particular ball game. the same type of situation. Well, now the wealth could be spread around. But again, you say, well, if I'm going to take this guy away, well, be careful now. The other guy, to be honest, as a college receiver, is just as good. Might not be an NFL player, but as a college receiver, he's just as good. So you got to be careful. But the biggest thing about this, to be honest, they don't run a lot of different routes, guys. They really don't. They don't run a lot of different routes. If they cut or split, get ready for a deep over route. Okay. If he got a cut split and somebody motions outside of him, he's going to run your slot fade right now. Or if you get a bunch out wide, it's an RPO. It's an RPO, and one of the guys doing a bubble, and the quarterback's going to read it. I mean, so they're actually pretty simple, but because they spread you out, they motion or trade somebody almost 80% of the time to try to keep you off balance and make you adjust your coverage. A lot of things that our offense did versus Alabama, well, this team, they do it every single ball game, trying to get angles. I mean, they're all of a sudden they're trade and they are in a bunch formation. Here come the toss sweep. And if you don't make the proper adjustment, the ball gone down the sideline, especially in the red zone. All of a sudden you're in the red zone, they shift the quads before you know it. They run a toss sweep again. I saw 3 touchdowns where the back was untouched because they didn't fit it right on the toss sweep. So again, they make you adjust, or they come right back, give you quads. You think on toss sweep, they run a duo in the red zone. So when they get in the red zone now, it's either running football or one-on-one pass. That's all it is.
You know, there was a question. This is from Wolverine One. It says, if there, I think it means, is their O line if their O line is Joe Moore-worthy, it said it right. What blitz package would you use and still contain Penix from getting outside the pocket?
I'm going to do what we always been doing. I like load. Utah ran even. You got 2 3s and you got a wide 6 or wide 9. They walked the backers up. And what Utah did, they would either drop the coverage or they bring extra guys off the edge, and the quarterback, he was running for his life. So based on that, I'm going to run a little bit more even than what I have been. Still, load was good for us because remember when our second sack versus Alabama, we were low defense. When Micah came in the B gap, he was unblocked. Yeah. I mean, so again, we gave different things because we do a lot of different things out of low defense. So based on, to me, the center, I'm saying it again, the center is a guy we can beat. We need to find ways to attack him because he's had quite a few pressures right up the middle. We got to attack him. We do that, we'll be fine.
Somebody, I found it. See, Steve said low defense was awesome in the Bama game. Steve on it.
We're listening.
I had to save it. I was saving it for that moment because I knew you were gonna bring it up. So back to the questions. But the people here, the folks, the students, fans, they take notes. They learn. They retain information. So don't think you just over here talking. People are paying attention. All right. This is an interesting one from Shadyville. I know I just had one from Shadyville. How do the corners test the limits of their physicality with the Washington receivers? This is the more important part. Is it worth taking some PIs early to see how much they can get away with? Did you ever coach your DBs to do that?
No, I'm taking no PI. That's called give up football. You don't trust your guys. If I told my guys that, they're going to look at me like, coach, you don't think we can handle these guys? I always tell guys right now, walk up on a guy early. Because when I was a player, I walked up on a guy the first snap. I wanted to see what he was. I wanted to know what I could do against that guy. I'm going to study him on video. But I want to test him early. So I always tell my DBs, test him early. Walk up early, see what's his favorite move. Come off the press. How does he release? What kind of speed does he have? Get after him early and watch his feet. Does he change his stance when you press? Does he change his stance when you run a certain route? I'll go back to in 2008, I'm with Michigan, so our scout team is down there. And I had a freshman corner pick off a slant. Urban just started ripping them apart. He said, what are you doing? You're on a demo team. I said, coach, he changed his feet. Every time he changed his feet, he runs that route. And coach, Urban had to go and look at the video and saw that. So made him change. And we're playing for the national championship that week. But again, you teach all the little details, how they get in their stance, how they come out of the huddle. Does he change his feet based on the route, based on press, all those kind of things. Challenge him early. I'm not afraid of anybody. As a secondary coach, you better walk up and challenge him. If not, you're on the sideline next to me drinking Gatorade. I don't care who you are. I mean, so we have the same mindset right now with the DBs at the University of Michigan. They're not afraid of anybody. We're going to walk up and find out early and then do what we always do: go win the ball game.
All right. Back to the questions. We'll speed through. This is Theodore Dodge says our D line all keep their hands up when Penix passes, disrupt the pass. Right, Vance, and I think what he's alluding to is he seems to have a low release.
He throws side on
Yeah.
sometimes, so you got a chance. But you know what? He has not had a lot of balls knocked down. He found ways to find the windows. I mean, so some of the side arm throws, he sees the defensive lineman. He knows how to find that check down or the guy in the flat. He does a great job with his eyes. His eyes are always down the field. When he's running or scrambling, he's not doing it to take off and run. He's looking down the field, looking for a big play. Like I said, in his first 9 ball games, he rarely ran the football. But in the Pac-12 championship and against Texas now, he pulled the ball down. I'm like, I forgot he played at Indiana and he can go.
Yeah,
Man, he can flat scoop.
I think Antoine Johnson was responding to the halftime adjustment against Keon Coleman. It was cloud coverage that took him out the game and said somebody else beat me.
That's exactly right. But against these guys here, they all can beat you. I got to give credit where credit is due. The quarterback's excellent. The offensive line does a good job. This is athletically, this is the best offensive lineman we played. If I go back to Ohio State, I said they big, but we could beat them on what? Twists and stunts, and we did. I said Alabama, they huge, but again, they don't handle movement very well. And guess what we did to them? These guys here, they do a good job with movement, but we still can attack them because fundamentally, the teaching that I've seen from the coaching staff at Michigan, these guys know how to get on the edge and stay low and get penetration so the next guy can come clean. A lot of guys I've seen, they up high, they say, I'm going swimming. Okay, go swimming in the ocean and drown, fool. And that's what I see a lot of people do. Our guys, they got life vests on. They playing with fundamentals. And that's the difference. That's going to be the difference in this ball game when it comes time in the fourth quarter as the game is close. Our fundamentals need to be better than their fundamentals. If it's that way, we win this ball game.
So at Florida, you had Joe Hayden
and Janoris Jenkins.
Both
of them Pro Bowl players.
You've had Charles Woodson and R.W. McQuarters.
Mm-hmm.
You tell them to go do something, Vance. That's different. Some of these other guys, though, and I'm bringing up a point you just made with this next question. Nala. It says, gets into most of the TDs. I see like 90% Penix puts the fade towards the outside. Well, only the receiver has a chance to get the ball. The gaining safeties, how can we stop? All right. But this is the important part of it. And why are other DBs failing to do so? You said play outside leverage. Everybody who plays Washington knows what they do.
No, they don't. I could promise you it's not being stressed. So you mentioned some of the great players I had that were Pro Bowl players or all conference, all American. Okay, let's go back. I had Andre Weathers and all those guys and Whitley and those guys at Michigan.
Will Peterson.
Will Pete. He started 7 years in the league. Okay, we playing Ohio State. Andre Weathers walked up to David Boston, got in that Deion Sanders stand, and put him on the ground. So my mindset is this: whoever I got out there playing, it's like Lord Corey, hey, the expectation is for the position.
And so this is my question. What you just said, though, seems like a coach should know. They want to fade ball. This is like probably their number one route. So how are other coaches not saying what you're saying? Hey, man, we're going to play outside technique. We're going to take away the fade.
But sometimes they teach it, but then at the same time, it's – and Al could attest to this teaching the offensive line, whatever. For example, when you start off as a freshman defensive back, I have a certain alignment, bam. Now, athletically, based on your ability, I might have to move you 6 inches this way because your athletic ability states that's where you have to be. Well, another guy like Woodson could play head up because he could take it all the way. The next guy split the middle. The next guy on the shoulder. So based on your ability, everybody's different. See, some coaches is like a cookie cutter. Boom, boom, boom. They're all the same. Well, I don't teach that way. I'm going to teach to your strengths. I don't want you to be like that guy. I want you to be the best you can be. So I got to pull it out of you. So based on your ability, that's how I'm going to have you aligned to take things away. And there's a lot of coaches I've seen. I'm talking about secondary coaches. They're cookie cutter coaches. Everything has to be identical. How they get in their stands, how they back put. They're like robots. And I sit back and laugh. I said, we got them. I said, I go to my receiver coach to go run this route right here. You got him. He's a robot. Works every single time. So again, our athletes have different abilities. Will is big. So he has long arms. It's tough to get around him. He can move his feet. party's over with. He's going to win his battle. Okay, my other corner's not as big, so he has to be better with his footwork. He might have to be a little bit wider in his alignment to take things away. And the biggest thing is staying square. It's like square dancing, baby. Just stay in front of me. That's all. If you think it's his pretty girlfriend, he won't miss that at all, Sam. He's going to be in front of her the whole doggone time.
All right, Carl Nepler was an Vance. Set me straight on how we didn't have to be aggressive with Ohio State, and you were right, but we were with Bama. What should or will our approach be with Washington, and why? What are the factors to decide?
With Ohio State, because you had an idea what they're going to do. They're going to throw it to one guy. So the game plan was take that one guy away, Marvin, and say, hey, beat me with the other guys. They couldn't do that. Okay. With Alabama, they're going to run the ball first. And you wanted to pressure that quarterback to keep him in the pocket and don't give him an escape lane. That's when he was the most dangerous. This quarterback we're playing right now, he's C.J. Stroud, but not afraid to run it. CJ, his last year, didn't want to run the football. Watch him in the NFL right now. He's running all over the place.
He ran against Georgia. That's why they were so close to that
Exactly. Game. But for some reason, he didn't run it. This guy here right now, because it's the last game of the year, makes him dangerous. So you got to mix it up. You got to pressure him. We've done a great job throughout the year disguising coverages. And that's going to be used, not necessarily for the quarterback, but for the receivers. We need to confuse the receivers about what we're in to take things away. That will affect the quarterback on how he plays. If we can buy a little bit of time and make him throw check downs, we're going to be fine. And we've tackled in space great the entire year. We continue to do that and limit the check down to minimal gains. We should be okay.
All right. So how you can I understand. And we always, it's funny that you just mentioned, I'm disguising to confuse the receivers. We always think about it from the quarterback perspective. Tell me how that plays out for a receiver. How are your movements? How is your disguise affected the receiver or how he's going to play on a particular pass?
We had one game where I'm looking at where the corner was sitting 8 yards deep to one side, the other corner was pressed. You with me? The corner was 8 yards deep. He stepped inside and squatted. The corner was pressed. He built to a half, and he had help inside out to be the flat defender. So in both situations, the one receiver says, this guy's off, so I know what kind of releases I have. All of a sudden, the guy's squatting at 7 yards deep. That changes everything. The corner was pressed belly. He's like, I'm thinking my thought process, what move I got to do to get open to get to my route progression. All of a sudden, that guy disappeared. He's shaking on cast with a friendly ghost. We got a guy from inside out coming to take away the route. So there's two things. It affected the receivers. The quarterback sees that too. But a lot of times, if I can confuse the receiver, he might shorten his route, might run the wrong route, might run his route too long. In all three of those situations, it's incomplete passes. The ball either too long, the ball too short, because you affected what the receiver had to do.
I tell you, the best example of what he's talking about is what they did to Marvin Harrison on that at Ohio State. He started at 5 yards deep, willed it, okay? He kind of looked innocent, you know what I mean? And Marvin was running a slant. Now, what I think they did, Vance, is I think they looked at the 3-by-1 and they thought they could get a one-on-one with Harrison on the backside. So they game planned it to single up Harrison, but Michigan wouldn't have any of it because they didn't realize Michigan would double Harrison regardless of where he was. That's what I think. Yeah. But anyway, the quarterback looked innocent, and then all of a sudden he dropped thinking he's got 100% slant. Will eyeballs him, jumps in front of him, and Marvin basically quits on the route.
He quit.
He quit on the route.
I said
and he jumped right, and the receiver was fooled, and the quarterback was fooled, and that was the result.
It was a double on him. They had no idea at all. I sat back because my father was on the phone. He called me. I said, Daddy, they had the guy double. He baited him. He stepped it. He never backpedaled. Will in the stand, he just stepped hard inside. Receiver gave up. The quarterback had no idea. But again, I'm going back to how many coaches actually teach quarterbacks how to recover. In the NFL, no doubt. If you have an elaborate passing game, I'm talking about if you're a West Coast passing team, you do. Okay. If you're a spread team where you spread throw it quick, you're not teaching route You're not teaching how to attack coverages. You have no idea. They teach them one thing: is a middle open or close. That's for a deep route. But otherwise than that, they don't teach that. The team we're going to play right now, Washington, they have some West Coast concepts. Therefore, the quarterback needs to understand how to read a coverage, attack a coverage, and the receivers have to do the same thing. So that's why you have to disguise, move guys around, and confuse them. And now you give yourself a chance to make some free plays.
Vance, how many times do you suppose Ohio State's demo team gave the quarterback the look Will Johnson gave him?
Not one single time.
Not one time. I'll bet you every time they practiced it, they threw the ball to Marvin. He caught the slant. Everybody went like this, went back to the huddle and said, "Hey, we got that one down."
That's exactly right. I totally agree with it. They had no game plan. They made some minor adjustments. I think it was the third quarter where they started going to a stack split. And when they got Will on, it was right before the half. I'm talking about it's right before the half, the second quarter. And Will didn't reroute the guy. He did got down the sideline. Well, to me, I'm still pressing that guy. Because we always say this: the guy on the line of scrimmage is a vertical threat. The guy off the line of scrimmage, a lot of times, is the guy doing something, a dig route, a shallow route, or outcut. So in that situation, if I got a cloud, I'm going to reroute the guy on the line of scrimmage to disrupt everything and then carry.
All right. Next question. Land Nonic 4 said, please mentor no safety blitzes like you did last year against TCU at Ohio State, where each gave up a TD.
Hey, you know what? I'm going to talk about a couple of plays from TCU. Throughout the year, when we blitzed that war, we normally dropped our defensive ends. Okay. In that particular ball game, we didn't. They ran a mesh route to that receiver. Will, the freshman was on him, Will, and he got rubbed off. And the guy caught it on a mesh route, double crossers, and went down the sideline. Normally, if we had dropped our defensive ends like we did in all the ball games, do you know that defensive end, a ball would hit him in the chest? But for some reason, we had an all-out blitz, which we really didn't do in the open field. And that was a difference. It wasn't that safety blitz. It's about we just changed our scheme, something we hadn't done the whole year, zero blitz and not dropping defensive ends, ended up in a touchdown. So now, hey, do what you do. Don't worry about what happened a year ago. Let's keep doing what we're doing right now. We'll be all right.
All right. Al, you're not falling asleep over there, are you?
No, man. Are you kidding me? I had a better shot of falling asleep during my show.
Somebody said, is Al falling asleep? I said, no, Al's not falling asleep. Why is football? There's no way Al Borges falling asleep.
Sam, sleep's not bad. I told you, man. It's like death without the commitment.
Hey, and I got one thing. If you play a lot of man-to-man on these guys, they go to bunch. And a lot of people say, well, we're going to play point on bunch. In other words, the nickelback will walk up on the guy on the line of scrimmage. The two other guys, they play what they call in and out. So, it's like playing basketball 2-on-2. What these guys do, they know you're doing that type of stuff. They run a double in route, which is like a pick pattern. So if I'm playing against these guys, knowing that if I saw it one time, I'm staying on my guy throughout. I'm not playing in and out. I'm playing on my guy all the way because they were playing. It's in my video here. I got it. They were playing. It was a 3rd down and 5. And there's a versus Oregon. Got a first down. Corners, they playing in and out. And they threw it to my man number 1. He was wide open. Nobody close. So therefore, against this team, I'm 1 point. But my 2 other DBs, they're on different levels. I'm playing my guy all the way based on what I seen that. Because unless you're a man-to-man team and you run a man-to-man 75% of the time, you don't teach a lot of different things. You just, hey, I got my scat covered. I got my guy. And that's not get pick play on different levels.
Hey, Vance, I got a question for you that I saw on video with Washington where in stack alignments, they were given top hat calls. You know what I'm talking about, where the deep man takes the point, and they actually use the signal. I've seen the signal 1,000 times. It's like everybody uses that signal. What do you think's the toughest thing to deal with on a top hat call where the deep guy's taking the point, man?
To me, if that's the case, the guy that's on the point, that receiver running right through him. And it's a natural pick, and the guy off the ball, he's going to be scot-free. And, for example, you run double inside routes, Al, there's no way they can cover off the guy that's off the ball. Because the guy on the ball, you've already picking him with the guy that's on the ball right now, so he's going to be free most of the time. So you got to be real careful when you do those type of things. I know in the NFL, a lot of times
They'll
you
call
walk
you.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Guys say,
Yeah.
I'm going to take the guy off the ball. The knowing the guy is pressing, he's going to take the guy off the ball because now it's easier for him. When you got a guy back deep doing it, he asking for trouble.
So clean releases help the guy. If it's right through him and he's not chintz gray, you got a better shot to get the stat guy open. See, it's stuff like that, Sam. You got to ask guys, and you know, Vance don't care anymore. He'll tell me. The guy would tell me 10 years ago. Would say,
hey, I didn't care even then. I mean, I was.
Hey, Kevin Steele would tell me everything. He told me everything he cared.
I shared everything, but one thing I found out as a defensive coach, a lot of offensive coaches wouldn't listen to you.
Oh yeah.
I mean, so to me, that's why I go talk to offensive coaches, and I should go to clinics and listen to offensive coaches because they get so arrogant sometimes they can't help but give you information to go beat them.
Yeah.
Defensive coaches want to talk philosophy. I got so much philosophy, man. I got no place to put it. I just don't.
Yeah, I used to say the best resource is right across the hall if you just listen to them, man.
All right.
Tim Carter says, Vance, do you anticipate Washington employing a lot of no huddle, hurry up to prevent Michigan's defensive line depth from subs? They run so much from their base offense and have a 6-year QB, so it seems like they visit that.
They already do that. That's part of their offense. They have different tempos. I mean, they do a lot of check from the sideline. They go up tempo a little bit. They're on the ball right now, so it's tough to sub against them. The thing you always talk about subbing defensive players, okay? If they have a play to your sideline, you're now able to substitute out real fast. If the ball's on the far hash, you can't substitute. It's too far to go. You're going to call it every time. So substitution is always based on if they have a play to your sideline, if you're alert and you practice it that way, you can sub guys in and you won't have a problem.
Yeah, that was Mike McDonald. He could. It took you a minute to kind of.
Coming from the NFL, he forgot about it. We had that discussion several times. He was totally lost in his own shadow. He didn't know what was going on.
But Mentor hasn't had that issue at all.
DB coach. What did I tell you 2 years ago? DB coach and a linebacker coach should probably coach D-line. Come on, man. I've been saying that from the start.
You did. I remember without you even knowing Mentor's background, you said, this is a DB guy. Ain't it, Sam? That's a DB guy, right? I said, yeah. I said, how you know?
Coverages were totally different. The linebackers' play was totally different. Everything was different.
Yeah.
McDonald about to be a head coach, by the way. What he's doing in Baltimore?
If they win the Super Bowl, he got a good chance. Because there's going to be about 5 guys get fired. You know how that NFL is.
Yeah.
It's coming.
Yeah, it is.
But you know what? In that league, don't take a job and you have a quarterback.
So this a point you made, and I'm going to put this on the screen. Lama Bryan says, Michigan doesn't press cover. If that's not what you do,
don't do it. I'm being honest. If that's not what you do, don't do something you don't do now. Again, I just go to coaching. I'm at Florida. I got Joe Hayden. Joe Hayden wasn't necessarily, wasn't crazy about press, became a good press corner. Janoris Jenkins, loved the press, didn't want to play off. And I had to develop the guy to have confidence to walk up and do it. It's too late in the season right now. If you haven't been pressing the entire year, you don't go in the last ball game and say all of a sudden we're going to press unless you're doing out of zone. I got to go over the top. But if it's man to man, I'm not doing that. You're setting a guy for failure because he hadn't been doing it the whole year. You've had all these games, and all of a sudden you're saying this game we don't go press.
So how are you challenging these receivers then? Especially
you could a slow pedal, take an outside technique to make a guy deviate from just going vertical. I always said this: if a guy just can't get in the blocks and go vertical, he has to deviate. Offensive coaches throw routes on there. Routes on there, they're just doing this. Okay, if I can make him go here or go there, a lot of times it's called incomplete pass. The ball is overthrown because he's a little bit short. So I can make him just deviate a little bit, but when I open up to widen him, the key thing, I'm going to widen him off that red line that people have on the sideline. Receiver coaches have this line, and they fight to keep that line to give themselves room to run and fade. Well, Washington, they don't work that line. They'll work 1 yard from the sideline. The quarterback will drop it right there. So therefore, as a DB, if I'm in an off technique, when I turn, I need to turn into his path and make him what? Widen to take him even further off of where he normally aligns. Now I got a chance for being incomplete pass. And that's all the fundamentals you teach. But if you're not a press corner and you haven't been doing it the entire year, you don't do that now. If you do, you're going to see like this, like Randy Moss. We don't want to see that.
So somebody said, what do you think about Wallace in this game? How do you
He's been playing well. You've got to give credit to the young man. I remember early in the year now, I was on him.
You were?
He's made tremendous strides. He's made some outstanding plays. You go back in the overtime, he made that tackle, even though he was pressed then. He was pressed. The guy pushed off, and they got the ball on the 3-yard line to make a 4th down and 3. He was pressed then. So they've done it, but that's not his strength. The kid has great feet. He has good hips. If he just can put his body in position to take away certain things or to cut off routes, he should be okay in this ball game. And last week you asked me about, they 6'2", 6'3". Well, you know what? If they throw him fades out of bounds, it's called incomplete pass, right?
Yep.
Let's get him out of bounds for incomplete. He could jump ball all day long out of bounds. I'm good with that.
All right. Few more here for Vance, as we've given you guys a lot to chew on. All right. So some of these are repeats. So let's fast forward to Adam Shepard said, Vance, do you see us going dime much, or will Mentor stay nickel the majority of the night?
We've had some dime this year. If you get a 3rd down and long, you can possibly see dime. But the biggest thing, I asked Al this question on his half, is that when you go to dime and they get a 1st down and they get back on the ball and you and your dime personnel, you got to have a call. And that's always an issue. If you don't work on a specific defense for your dime package, you could be in a world of hurt because you can't substitute them out. So you got to be careful of that. But at the same time, you can't be afraid not to. I used to go to dime, didn't worry about it. I would have 2 calls to get the guys lined up, and it was going to be a pressure call. I'm going to blitz you, and I'll probably blitz that one guy to get him out of harm's way to give myself a chance so I can substitute as quick as I possibly could.
Kevin Steele had one word deals for that. He go, green. That was a call that encompassed the front, the coverage, the whole thing. You go, blue. There was only like 2 or they didn't have it like you. Didn't have a lot of them. But if they tried to go fast and they didn't get the right personnel out, he had a one-word call to tell everybody what to do.
Exactly. You got to limit what you do because you don't have time to practice at all. You really don't.
All right. As we wind down, Eve St. Fard says, Vance, when Bama had a big, slow offensive line, we attacked it with movement. Washington's O-line being big and lean, how would you attack?
Same thing. What's the difference? Do what you do. See, when I listen to some of these questions, it's like you got to change what you're doing. We've done the same thing every single ball game with minor change-ups. The biggest thing is when you're attacking offensive linemen. So you got one guy tackle 6'6", one guy 6'8". The worst thing you can do is run right down the middle. Guess what Texas did? Run right down the middle. You get on the edge and beat him with speed. When you make an offensive lineman that can turn his shoulders 90 degrees to the sideline, he's beat. And now your stunts work great in that situation. So continue to run our stunts. And all of a sudden, when you start playing for the stunts, then you're going to hit them right in the mouth. Bam. What it's all about. It's like a boxer. It's like I'm jabbing. The guy looking for the jab, all of a sudden, it's an overhand right. I mean, Mike Tyson done knocked him out. And it's the same thing when you rush the offensive lineman, is you do what you always do. And all of a sudden, you go bull rush. You play with great leverage, okay? 4th down and 3. They run the bluff play. My man, number 5, he had that tackle with purity power.
Yeah, he did.
That's what I'm talking about. Pass rush, the same thing. Speed to power. Because now that guy's getting back fast. He seems to be with speed. I hit him right underneath the chin, and now you knocked him back. So do what you always do. You don't change up. You have 1 or 2 little wrinkles. That's all it is. To take certain things away. But at the end of the day, ask the players what they want to run when the game is on the line. Each week they're going to tell you the same thing. Why? Because they have confidence in that. It's not about coaches at that time. It's about the players having confidence in what you're doing to go execute. That's how you win ball games. It's a player's game at the end. You put them in position, but know what they like the most and let them go play.
Which pass rusher, there is a fitting question as we rounded to the last couple. LT says, Vance, which pass rusher will have the best game based on the matchup? We've talked about a few different guys, but number 5, we highlighted Josiah Stewart was the one who bench pressed Latham into the backfield. He's been playing well. Braden McGregor had a couple sacks in the game. He's been playing well. Derek Moore
I D tackles.
That's what
I'm talking about defensive end. I already said, who's a weak link?
That
center.
Yeah.
Guess who you got to attack? The center. Guess who our most physical guys with great feet? 2 guys inside.
2 guys inside. Yeah.
They're going to play great. If they play great, and they get pressure, and they get sacks, they get hits on the quarterback, we win a ball game. See, you can block edge rushers, When you got a good 3 technique and you got a good 2 eye inside, boy, offensive line coaches don't like that because now
No, man, you
you
aren't
got to
kidding.
scheme up how you block those guys. I could block the defensive end. I
Yeah.
can chip them. Guess what we did to Alabama first round pick defensive end? When he started motioning trade and had a tight end right here, he started looking outside. He quit rushing the passer. You can block a defensive end. But them horses inside now, oh no, baby. Secretary, come talk to me, baby. Huh? Let's go eat.
We have an unusual situation, in my opinion, is we have quick twitch inside players. We do not have necessarily, they can bull rush. Don't get me wrong. I've seen that a couple times too. But those guys are incredibly quick twitch. They're and it may not be as good as, but they're like Warren Sapp, where he could knock you flat on your ass or he could go right by you. Mason Graham is a beast.
Yes.
Okay. And the other guys, they may not be quite as quick as him, but you can't count on him always trying to use some bull move on you. And that's what's happening with some of these linemen. And it happened to Alabama. They start jumping outside to stop a bull rush, and they get beat underneath.
Yep.
And if it ends up like Vance says on the center, now you're going to get pocket push. Even if you don't get a sack, you blind the quarterback. And that's worse than an edge rusher. They can see the edge rushers. You can't see when people are up in your face.
All right. So this is the last question before we get your synopsis, Vance. Adam Shepardson wants to know, what are the 2 or 3 route concepts to watch? So I think he says, what are the top few route concepts they show on film? Slot fades.
The slot fade is number one. Is tops, and you're gonna laugh at this. It's really RPO. Out of bunch, RPO. I mean, they run in pin pull or they run a counter. The back is to the same side as the bunch, so you anticipate those type of routes. So again, that's quick passing game. Throwing a bubble out there is nothing more than a run. But to me, the slot fade, that's going to be huge. I mean, we take that away, and the third route is a deep over route. I mean, the guy's isolated. He cut a split down to get from one hash to almost to the top of the numbers where he's catching the football. And they've hit that almost in every single ball game. No one stopped it yet. They know it's coming. They still can't stop it.
Same thing with the fade.
Same thing with the fade. They don't know. Like Earl Bruce once said, they don't know that they don't know.
All right, so let's wrap it up. Let's wrap it all up like we did with Al. I don't think you coach over 3 decades, Vance.
Yeah.
Okay, so both of y'all coach.
He's as old as I am, man. Come
I
on.
am too. Yeah.
All right, so let's give the synopsis. Gameplay. You know what Michigan does. You watch Washington film. You know what they do. Give me the bullet point game plan as we wrap up.
As an overall picture, the moment we got to win the special teams. We didn't do that last week, and luckily we got out that game with a win. Run the ball, control the clock, and score on offense. Shorten the game. On defense, eliminate big plays. Tackle well. Limit the quarterback on the zone read play to scrambling for big plays. We win the football game.
So specifically, though, when you talk about taking away fades, you said outside leverage.
Outside leverage.
You play outside leverage. You talked about attacking the center. Are you talking strictly about twists and stunts? Or are you talking about
both?
Are you sitting
both.
blitzes at the center?
No, I'm talking about one-on-one pass rush. I'm talking about twists. I'm talking about blitz. The whole pack. What we do, we're not going to deviate from what we do. If we sit back and say we're just going to rush for, we're going to be in trouble. A lot of teams, they dropped 8. And they had some success. So the quarterback went to check down. They slowed the game down. But eventually, teams got behind. They had to start rushing the quarterback. Then he picked them apart. So we might do a little bit of drop 8, but not very much. We're going to do what we always do. We're going to rush forward. We're going to zone blitz. We're going to play a little man. We're going to roll coverage. But we're going to be aggressive. That's who we are. That's who the defensive players want to be. That's who they've been the entire year. So we're going to continue to pressure. If they hit a few plays, life goes on. Pressure the very next play.
What do you think of their run game? Now the running back is banged up. He's gonna play. They don't know how good he's gonna be. Duo start hitting Michigan in the second half of the game against Bama. What do you think about this run game? And are there some things to be concerned with there?
They more a pin pull counter than they run some duo, but it's more outside. When I was listening to Al talk, I'm like, Al must watch Washington's offense because the things he's saying what we should be doing, that's exactly what they do. They attack B to C gap. That's counter, that's pin pull, and toss. So most of their run plays are outside. Now, as you get into the game, if you give them some looks inside run game, they'll do it. But if they get up, it's going to be counter and pin pull. They get on the edge. And the quarterback will start outside. If somebody overruns it, bam, put a foot in the ground, get downhill. Now, if he's hurt, he can't put that foot in the ground and go backside. But they want to attack our edges in the run game. They don't want to go necessarily downhill. That's not what they do. They're not duo. Alabama was a duo team, and they knocked Georgia off the ball. So that's what they did. This is not a duo team.
And so then when you talk about slowing down, how quickly they get rid of the ball, you said you're mixing coverages. You're not necessarily pressing. You said don't press. That's what you do.
That's what they don't. They're not a press team. Don't do things you don't do. Don't do. And now if you're running zone out of press to disguise things, like you're running two or some kind of roll coverage, yeah, you can do that. But we're not necessarily a press team. That's not who we are. We hadn't been that for the last 3 years. That's not our philosophy.
See, it's interesting that you say that because schematically they not press. But that's all I saw. I know that's.
But
like
Will likes to walk up. Don't get me wrong, he does. But that's not something that's called because we're not necessarily a man team.
Right.
We're really a zone team. Out of that, we do some press. A lot of times the guys are protected. If you get us in 3rd down and 5 where we are running a man blitz, you'll see guys walk up and press. I used to tell guys where they like pressing that. On 3rd down and 5, I call the blitz. Everybody's up close. I'm taking away the quick throws. They're going to throw a quick throw. It's got to be a tight window. Otherwise than that, if a guy wasn't comfortable pressing, I call man playoff technique. Do what you do best.
I don't know if you picked this out on film. They haven't given up a lot of sacks. Did you see anything in particular?
11. Utah. I keep
11 sacks. Yeah.
11 sacks. Yeah, Utah got after him now. Again, the quarterback throws. Utah, one time I said they got him sacked. I don't know how he just threw the ball to the guy in the flat. He knows where his receivers are. So therefore, when the quarterback is scrambling, if you're in coverage, lock your guy down. He finds him.
And when you say they got after him, how did they?
They blitzed him. They zone blitzed him. They zero blitzed him. They man blitzed him. They did everything. They flat came after him. They were not afraid. The corners pressed, the whole bag of tricks. The game plan they had is the game plan they had every single week. They never deviated from it. They did what they do. So we got to do the same thing.
Were you surprised? Bama, I didn't say the last one. Bama was surprised with the amount of pressure Michigan brought, and they played man behind it. I mean, they
why?
They came. Clearly, they were surprised. I don't know why.
Did we pressure?
Did they look surprised?
Well, you know what? You just told me that the OC was 32 years old.
He looked surprised to me, Vance.
Well, if he hadn't watched any video, because we are, to be honest, Michigan is a pressure team. We're a zone pressure team, but we're a pressure team.
I'll say this: Have I interviewed Tommy Rees to know? Here's what I know: they got sacked 4 times in the first 6 dropbacks. Sounds like to me you pretty surprised. And you in the second half, you didn't even. Al, did you chart how many 7-man protections they had in the second half?
Well, it changed. What happened? The first sack, the guard left. There was a turn because I heard Saban talk about it. It was supposed to be a turn. The guard stepped back and went and got the nose, and the tackle thought the guard was helping him. It was a beeline straight for the quarterback. The next one, Vance was talking about, what do you call it?
Low.
They were in a 5-man, and there was he wasn't even looking for a hot route. They couldn't pick them all up. The guy hit him before he could even, he took 1 step and he was on his back. And then on another one, they blitzed and couldn't, it was a movement blitz, okay, where they were twisting dudes, and they didn't pass it. He went straight to him and knocked the tar out of him. And then another time, they picked him up, and Melrose panicked. He turned and squared up when the pocket was starting to collapse. All the guys were picked up, and they just swallowed him. Okay, so those were 4 of them. I know
these guys go max protect now. If you start pressuring them, they will protect their quarterback.
Yes, they will. They
don't let you hit your quarterback now.
Yes, and Alabama, the second half started going to more man. They didn't go back to a 5-6 man protection until the 2-minute drill. Then they had to get some guys out. You know what I mean? But before that, it was all dual plays, max protection, turn the line, both backs one way. It was a completely different mentality than the first half.
If I was playing Michigan, I'm on offense, I'm going to slide to the field. If I did anything, the center's going to go to the field, a man protection backside with a back. Therefore, a lot of times I could pick up what you're doing. It's like early on in the year, we run low defense. So what we had after 3 games, we saw the backside guard. What did he do, Sam? He turned to the field. So they had 4 to the field. So what we ended up doing that week, when the wheel back a lot walked up, the guard turned, he unblocked. So we have different things that we do off of that particular look that we continue to change up to say, You can't say because we're in this front, we got a 1, we got a 3, and we got a 7 to that side that you can tell the backside guard, I could turn that way. If you do, well, we're going to attack over here. So you make them play honestly. This team here, again, protection-wise, they'll keep back in. They'll bring a tight end in. If you're a pressure team, they will try and protect the quarterback and let our 3 receivers go work, and then the tight end will slip out or the back will slip out as a check down, know to go to football. So I'm concerned, again, with our zone pressure and our defensive ends who drop to the boundary, that back, a lot of rail routes, not a few, but quite a few of them. He'll go through the B gap to the flat and turn up, and a lot of people have missed him.
Yeah, I wonder how healthy he is, though. He seemed pretty banged up.
Yeah, but so the other guy is a better receiver anyhow.
Okay.
So that's in the pass game, they won't be hurt in the run game. That's going to be key.
All right. Give me your winner and score, Vance.
31-30. I'm going to be closer now. I just think it's going to be a dogfight to the end. I think special teams going to be key. And if our special teams are on point, we're going to win this ball game. And we need to get at least 2 takeaways and about 2 sacks. If we can disrupt the quarterback and make him nervous, we win this ball game. Because most of the quarterbacks who played this year, third quarter, they were doing what? They're looking at the rush and looking down the field.
He was looking at the rush.
He's looking at the rush. That's how you win ball games. We can get Penix eyes down looking at the rush. It changed the whole outcome of the game. And then if that's the case, now prediction is right. We win the game going away.
I'm revising. I'm going 35-21. I still think they're going to win by 2 touchdowns.
Hey man, don't change.
That's okay.
No, I had to digest it a little bit, and I still think they're going to win.
Your voice and everything. Now you sounding all treble. Come on, man.
No. But I think the game's going to be close. I think that's going to be at the end of the game. That's going to happen once things look dismal for Washington. We'll get another one on them when they don't care as much. I think that's what's going to happen. I love the matchup. I could be wrong.
The biggest thing about this game that people are going to be nervous about, Washington has started off fast on everybody. The tempo, you can't practice that in practice. Against everyone they played, they normally score on the first drive. So they normally score, like in Oregon in the Pac-12 championship game, they scored 14 points the first 2 drives. And then finally, Oregon slowed down and got back in the game. Against everybody, they start off fast. So the biggest thing we got to get ready for, if they start off fast, don't panic. The game is 4 quarters. It's not 1 quarter. So it's a good chance that could happen. If it does, it's like Muhammad Ali. It's a slow fight. Yeah, you got round 1, but we're going 15. I know you can't last 15. That's what you say with George Foreman. You can't last 15, baby. You good for 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, and 6. Turn out the lights, baby. And that's how the game's gonna be.
Vance, how are you in the booth, man? How are you?
I was wondering the same thing.
I was off the chain.
I don't know how you were in the booth.
I was when my first year in Michigan, 1995, and our first game. We playing Virginia, the Barber twin.
I remember.
Went on the last throw.
So
first time we on defense, and me, I don't ever shut up. I'm like, hey, they're going to come out this play. Hey, we think hey, coach, have this in your back pocket. The whole press box stopped and started just looking at me. I'm like, what's wrong with you guys? I said, last secondary coach never said a word. I said, baby, like Eddie Murphy said, new sheriff in town, baby. We rolling. Let's go, Matty. Because you know what? When it comes to winning, everyone has to have input. Everyone has to take ownership, and everyone has to be involved. If you're just sitting back saying nothing, you're not involved. You're not taking ownership. You're just along for the ride. I don't want to be along for the ride. I want to help you be as successful as I possibly can, whether you're a coach, a player, a manager, a trainer. That's all my job ever has been, to help you be successful. If I do that, well, guess what? Eventually something comes back your way. But if you're always sitting on the side looking for a handout, I don't need you around me. And so that's always been my mindset from my dad and my grandfather taught me that. Hey, go do something. If you sit on the sideline doing nothing, expect nothing. So I went to work, baby. Let's go win.
If it is to be, it's up to me.
There you go.
Here's what I know. No one in the country is breaking down these games like us.
Not even close, Sam.
Giving you an offensive coordinator and a defensive coordinator who are breaking down the film every game. Giving you an All-American quarterback, breaking down the plays from a quarterback perspective as well. and not just a cursory glance, not even just giving it to you. They have watched 5, 6, 7
Sam.
games.
See, Sam ain't
to break
sure.
this down. I didn't have a diagram.
He had
I'm
that.
sorry.
I had that. Hey,
got diagrams.
you lucky. Look at, hey,
You got a diagram.
I got diagrams. I put like Arizona. They drop 8 most of the game. I said number 4.
I got more of them too. I got them here on yellow.
I got notes everywhere.
Hey man, Reeves and notebook.
You think we were coaching, man? It's ridiculous.
This is real. This is real shit.
Hey, I got all kind of stuff. I got notes about what they're doing. Who's number 4 is. He's a fly sweep guy. If number 4 is in the back for another back, well, the other back is going to dive. He's the pitch guy.
Yeah.
Okay. If he goes to motion, he's a fly sweep guy.
All-American high school quarterback.
Yeah.
All-American high school quarterback.
Double pass.
Vance, it sounds like we're up for a raise.
Hey, I'm all for it. Hey, you know what? I'm so happy that when Sam pushed down the thing at the bottom and people have been donating money. First of all, Happy New Year and thank you.
Thank you very much.
Listen, absolutely.
Thank you so much.
We're coming back with the film studies next week because you guys contributed to the film studies. So you're making it happen. You're making it happen. That's why I'm saying. That's why I'm able to take my man Vance out to the steak dinner. Like he got to pick the steakhouse. We haven't even picked the steakhouse.
Hey, I'm not gonna break him that way. I won't do it to him.
What you mean?
No, you got to do it. No, you got to do it. Absolutely do it. Hold him to it, man. Oh, no.
To the steakhouse. To the steakhouse. So no, we plan on doing a breakdown and film study of Michigan winning the national championship. If we'll break it down either way, but the plan is.
Ain't no either way. I done told you right there. I got to get a matching hat. See, that thing say 97. What year is this? 24, brand new year. I need a matching hat to go in my case at home.
Let's make it happen. All right, folks. As far as coverage is concerned, we'll have content for you throughout the week on Monday. It's going to be a jam-packed day. I did a breakdown with the guy from Washington, Chris Fetters, where he gave the Washington perspective. I gave the Michigan perspective for CBS. I'll be doing CBS pregame hits, ESPN pregame hits. We got our pregame show as well. We're going to go live with some of the pregame show. So there'll be plenty of analysis and content leading up to. And then I got 2 more CBS hits after the game. So we're going to give you wall-to-wall coverage. All right? So be sure to tune in. But we appreciate your support here on another edition of the Michigan Football Breakdown focused on the defense.
Okay, one more thing. And they always say, and champions of the West, here we go, baby. Go blue.
Champions of the West.
What time are we going live? We'll go live the last hour and a half of the pregame show. So that would be from Eastern time. It would be from 4:30 to 6 Eastern time. No. It'll be 4:30 or it'll be 5 to 6:30. That's what it'll be. The last hour and a half of the show. All right. Of the pregame show. So there you go. So look forward to it. This time we'll have a much better. The Rose Bowl was tricky. It was tricky because we went live the whole 3 hours of the Rose Bowl and the signal was bad, but the audio was good. So people stayed on the live stream and loved it from that standpoint. But they'll try to do a better job here at the national championship. I just can't be on it the whole time because there's so many more pregame things to do. I didn't have to do CBS pregame for the Rose Bowl. I didn't have to do ESPN pregame for the Rose Bowl. This time I have to do those things. So can't do the whole pregame show for TKA. So there you have it. But we'll be with you. So looking forward to it. And those of you're going to be down here in Houston. So we're still trying to find the gathering spot for Sunday NFL football. I got to watch my Lions somewhere. So if you know a place close to the Galleria that, in Houston where we should go watch the Lions on they would have hated me down here last week because I had all kind of words for Cowboys. All kind of words for Cowboys. They cheated my Lions, and I haven't forgot. So hopefully the football
Make another shot, Sam.
My Lions.
Make another shot on that one.
Yep.
So, all right, folks. That'll do it for this edition of the Breakdown Preview Style. The Michigan defense versus the Washington offense. We'll see you on Monday. Thanks for watching.
Go Blue.